right, we're live on this thing again. Few people in here. Last week, I think we got to like 50 people. So let's do everyone a favor and share this thing.
Let's do everyone a favor. You mean everyone do us a favor?
No, it's more fun for everybody when there's more people in here. I feel like.
Oh, that's a very valid point.
Yeah.
I'm
So
actively sharing this to all my followers right now.
How many do you
Ben
have,
has
Ben?
6 followers. I think.
Hold on. Let me look.
If he has more than 50,
I
it's
have
really impressive.
I have 14.
Okay, yeah.
14
That's
followers.
not bad.
It's not good.
That's what I think. So
Yeah, that's not good, but it's not bad.
it's a slow roll, you know. It takes some time.
Slow roll.
Gradual.
Ben tweets once every 6 months, so
Maybe.
Anyway, yeah, hit the button in the bottom right-hand corner and share this if you would. I think these are going to be fun. We've gotten some suggestions, some different things to talk about. We had a good time with this last week, and hopefully people continue to enjoy this, so we can keep doing it. If you guys don't enjoy this, then we can stop doing it. So my wife will hate me less. By way of introduction, Brendan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Should I shout out people in the spaces? That's what the cool kids do, right?
We like to wait for. I mean, when you say cool kids, you just mean Newberg.
I mean Josh. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say let enough people get in here to get shouted out. There's cool kids in here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's some big timers. Coach Reese in here in the house.
Sean.
Shout out Joe.
Jason Noe in the house. Sean in his squeaky chair in the house. Welcome, Sean.
Dude, look at Joe with the fake Abby. Shout out for Joe, man.
Oh, well, is that Joe Decadence?
Yeah, it is. Change your name, Joe.
No, don't change it. It's a kid show. Be appropriate.
Mr. Deck himself.
Wildly inappropriate.
So, anyway, all right. Let's give this just another minute or two. Let me share this on my page too. Come jump, and we'll get
Brendan,
started.
what are you drinking tonight anyway?
I am doing a sample that TJ sent me almost like a year ago when we first started doing this. High West, American Prairie, finished, and all right, I don't know what kind of wine this is. I think it's a wine. Banyuls?
Armagnac?
Banyuls?
Yeah.
Doing a little research on it right now.
Ooh, I like it.
Almost then tastes like double oak, like TJ tried to mess with me here. Banyuls wine is...
No, that's definitely... I think... I could be wrong, but that could be a bottle that Joe sent me from the Bourbon Enthusiast.
Okay.
So don't quote me on that, but that is where I think that was from. Shout out Newberg. Newberg's the GOAT.
Berg's here. He was doing yoga listening to us last week, and if there's anything... there's not a more relaxing combination in the world than listening to us talk about bourbon and then, getting your mind and body right with the yoga. It's great.
Spot on. All right, cool. Brendan, go ahead and go through your shout-outs like Josh does on the FSU spaces, and then we'll get started.
No pressure, though, right? Shout out to all the truckers that are listening right now, right? That's a thing.
Okay.
All right. I want to give a shout-out to all the husbands who have to hide their bourbon collection from their wives and try to find different places to hide the bourbon. Yeah, cheers to TJ.
Cheers.
He counts. Shout out to all the Scotch drinkers. You're people too. You're my people. Just because TJ and Ben don't like it doesn't mean anything. Shout out to the Noes or the Noes, however you want to say it. They made TJ and Ben drink peated whiskey, and I am really, really happy for that. And it's a whiskey that I enjoyed. So shout out to Jason Noe. Much love. Shout out to Sean in his squeaky chair. He's listening right now. Sean, much love to you as well. That's it. I'm not as good at this as Berg is, but, it was adequate.
That was good. I felt like that was good. I was going to say shout out. No, Joe, no video on this. Sorry. It's a sham. I was also going to say shout out to the people who drink Scotch. You're one step below the Android users in my life.
Whoa, shots fired.
Yeah. Okay. We said that we were going to do this. Ben, sorry to interrupt myself. Ben, what are you drinking tonight?
So tonight I have a little special pour from Elliot.
Ooh.
He sent down a bottle of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof from 2015.
What? That's crazy. I didn't know they were making that then.
Was it 2015? Oh, TJ, correct me if I'm wrong. That's 2015, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I think it's like banana nut bread toffee,
Oh,
and it's amazing.
We know you're a big fan of bananas and nuts, so I mean that totally makes sense. You would get
Yes.
those notes. Oh, sorry if you guys are listening with your kids in the car. Put the kids to bed. Um,
I mean,
but
Shout out
if
truckers.
this is
the kids are, if the people are listening to a bourbon podcast at 8:30 in the evening with their kids in the car, I don't know what to tell you.
yeah. There's bigger problems than me saying nuts. Yeah, you're right. All right, so I'm drinking the same thing. Elliot sent me a bottle of the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, really really good. From 2015, so like a dusty. You don't see those often. Brendan, when I see you this weekend, I will bring you a
Tell you
sample.
about it. Oh.
Gosh, no, I'm better than you. Um, all right, we wanted to do this for people that were new into whiskey, right? Like Bourbon 101. We've had people on the message boards ask this. If you have questions, you can hit my DMs, you can hit the show's DMs, you can tweet us on the timeline, you can request to speak, however you want to jump in here and interact. We're totally good with any interaction. If nobody interacts, we will just do this like a regular Bourbon on a Budget show, and we will just talk amongst ourselves. We would love interaction though, because you guys get enough of us if you follow the podcast or watch the show or whatever. So until that time, we've got a lot of requests, and by a lot I mean like one or two.
Ooh.
We've had a lot of requests for people to talk about entry level or Bourbon 101 or getting started in their bourbon journey. And I think as we start this Spaces journey, that's a good place to begin. So, without any further ado, Brendan Sano,
Yes.
tell new people everything they need to know about bourbon. Don't leave anything out.
What? Okay.
Start talking now, and when FSU tips off, we'll tell you to shut up.
All right. So, are we assuming that they don't know anything about bourbon, like what it is?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Maybe let's give some new beginner bourbon pointers. Is maybe a good way to start that.
Okay. So, a couple things. One, be aware of your proof tolerance. Like, if you don't like liquor in general, like if 80 proof vodka is too much for you, then bourbon's going to be a little challenging, regardless of proof. Now, if you're acquainted with proof, then you can start kind of playing around with different types of proofs and whatnot. So that's one thing. Just be kind of aware of what your tolerance is and what your palate is. So let's say for most everyone here, they like vodka or gin or tequila, so they can kind of mess with that a little bit. So the first thing about bourbon to me is like it should be an adventure and an experience, and you should try to kind of challenge yourself as you're drinking it to pick up different notes and just go with it too. Like don't feel judged for like being like, oh, I think I smell banana here, but that can't be right. Like, no, very well could. Your way your brain absorbs some of the chemicals that are in the wood tannins and whatnot will like it could be anything. So be very open about what you're drinking and be willing to explore, I guess is what I'm trying to say with bourbon early on. It should be fun. There's a lot of cool different tasting notes and smelling notes that you can enjoy. And don't be afraid either to like, if you need to put ice in it early on, if you need to have it as a cocktail, if you need to put a little water in it, whatever, like no judgment here. Like getting into bourbon, you're not going to get into drinking it neat right away. And if you are, more power to you, but it's going to take a little while. So be willing to kind of make that adjustment. So there's some pretty early ones I would have of like someone who's just kind of getting into it.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, it's really tough to just jump into bourbon. I know most people's first experience with, hard liquor is probably doing shots, and this is very different than that, right? And now you can do shots of bourbon, but you'll just waste a lot of money, and make yourself sick. And hopefully, we've moved somewhat out of the shot game, but um, bourbon is more so to be enjoyed. If you're doing shots, I would certainly just say buy something cheaper than bourbon. But if all your experience with like heavy liquor ever is doing shots at the bar, then I would certainly say, just like Brendan did, maybe start with a cocktail, start with a whiskey sour, start with an old fashioned, maybe go that direction as opposed to just sipping on whiskey neat, because that's going to be pretty tough. Ice in your whiskey, a little water in your whiskey would certainly help. Ben, let's transition to you a little bit. Do you have some suggestions? Ben, okay, before I ask Ben this, for
Yeah,
those listening, Ben has never understood a prompt once. And so I'm going to give him a
we'll see.
prompt right now. And you know, we're just going to knock on wood and hope that it works out. Ben, what are some good beginner, accessible, non allocated bottles that people should look for and try to find if they're trying to get into whiskey or
That's a good
bourbon?
question.
Sorry, bourbon specifically.
Yeah, bourbon specifically. So in my head, you start you start with the beginning. You start the basics. So I would stay away from a lot of like craft distillers. Like you just go and you grab something that you would typically see. So in my head, I'm grabbing an Old Forester. I would grab a 100, but you can grab an 86, whatever, like, whatever you go for. I would go and grab a Wild Turkey 101, and I would go and grab an Elijah Craig. Right, those are all going to be super accessible, but that will give you the major profiles of the largest distilleries in the region, right? So if you want to just kind of say, hey, I've always found that I tend towards Brown Foreman and Old Forester is like my main like flavor profiles. So I would start, at the Old Forester route. But some people really enjoy Elijah, right? So I don't like it as much, but start with your basic bottles that would kind of be on not the well, but your bottom shelf at the bar, and just say, hey, I'd like to start here. Most of those bottles are going to be around $25 to $35, right? Um, and you're not going to be breaking the bank if you say, hey, I bought this bottle. I didn't enjoy it that much. If you go and get a pour of Wild Turkey 101 anywhere, it's going to be like $9. If you go buy a whole bottle, you get, maybe 20, 22, $23, right? So if you buy something you don't like, you're not going to be out a ton of money. Just start with those three main distilleries and work your way from there. You find a path you like, just continue down it. If you like Old Forester, then you got 1910, 1920, and then you can go like Statesman. There's just a progression you can go.
It's good
I like
advice,
that.
Ben. I had one thing to add that Ben reminded me of, TJ, is that uh, price that is, as you're new into bourbon, and if you want to I get it's going to be really enticing to go bourbon hunting, right? And like you want to start adding to your collection, and 2 bottles can become 4, can become 8, can become 16, all very quickly. You really start adding up. Don't feel like you have to spend a ton of money on bottles, especially early on. There's resources out there where you can do research on stuff to kind of figure out what's good value. There's a really cool podcast called Bourbon on a Budget that you could listen to that's going to kind of say a few whiskey nerds and to kind of try to have people with different palates and different experiences in mind when they're looking at a different bourbon and price points. But yeah, I remember pretty early on, like I saw like $100 bottle on clearance that was like should have been $200. Um, I'm trying to remember. It was one of like the revival series ones, and basically it was fine. It was probably I would have enjoyed it a lot more now, but it was probably too complex, too old, too like woody and oaky to really enjoy for someone who was like 6 months into like really experiencing bourbon. So yeah, don't feel like you have to go out and spend a ton. The bourbons that Ben outlined are all really good price points with big distilleries that can kind of teach you like this is what I like, this is what I don't like, and then you can go from there and start scaling it back or upgrading to something else.
And you'll see different things like the bottles you see at most bars. Now, if you go to a bourbon specific bar, you're going to see more there than you would at other places. But the bottles you see at just your average bar, your Woodford Reserve, right? Like the bourbon of the Kentucky Derby, right? Is, you know, it's a little, it's a little low proof for me. I'm not super, enticed by that anymore, but it's a really solid bourbon that has other, offshoots from it that you can check out. And so Woodford Reserve, Four Roses, like your bottles that you kind of see everywhere are also really, really good ones that you can kind of check out and are good entry, um, just starting out into bourbon. Also, find a friend, whether it's me, Brendan, Ben, whoever, and Eddie. I see you requested. I'm going to add you here in just a second. Find a friend that likes bourbon, because if there's anything a bourbon nerd loves, it's sharing his bourbon. I know that sounds kind of crazy. Maybe he won't share like his most elite of elite bottles with you right away. But like, if there's anything that a bourbon nerd wants to do, it is to tell you what he knows about bourbon. And he will share his collection, he'll share his bottles, he'll share everything he can, because it's just the bourbon world in everything is exploding right now. But like, man, I mean, a lot of you guys are listening to this are FSU fans or college football fans, and it'd be like if somebody came to you right now and said, "Hey, tell me about the Seminoles, or tell me about the Gators, tell me about the Hurricanes. I want to be a fan of them." Well, you would freak out. You would tell them, "Oh, okay. Well, we had Jalen Ramsey and Jameis Winston, and we had Peter Warwick, and we had that." You would tell them all about it, and you would really like be passionate about that. It's the same thing with bourbon. Like if you're new into it and you go to somebody that does have an interest in it, a collection, they're going to be jacked to kind of tell you about it. So let them buy some of your bottles and get it, or not bottles, but like they can give you samples. They can let you try their different stuff so that you don't have to go out and break the bank. We got a couple of requests here. Um, I just tied college football into bourbon. Maybe we can get more some NIL stuff here shortly.
Beautiful,
But
beautifully done.
Eddie, Eddie, is it Booza? Is it Boza? How's it going, man? Eddie, are you there with us? You're on mute.
Eddie.
Oh man, Eddie's letting me down.
You know, I don't see Eddie on here as a speaker,
I'm
so it's
gonna take him.
probably your fault.
Yeah, it's probably my fault. But we'll keep it rolling. Eddie, if you can hear us, just jump back in. Got another one though. Matt Hewville. I'm looking for that guy that like slammed Brendan at the end of last week's show. That was a fun. If that guy's in here, please
He
come back
didn't
on.
slam me. He just
He
got
got
me
you with like a
with
D's
the
nuts joke.
D's
Yeah.
notes joke. Yeah.
Matt A, how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good. How's it going?
Good, man. I gotta ask, what the hell's wrong with Android?
Um, I just don't like green bubbles. Like scotch. It's just not my preference.
And I'm a Scotch drinker too, so I almost logged off and
Oh
I heard that.
man,
All right,
shots
0 for
fired.
2. Tell me you like the Gators, and then I'll really
Oh
just
no,
kick
I'm
you
a,
off
I'm a
here. But
Florida State alum, so nah,
all right, very
I
good,
got
very good.
that. But yeah, I wanted to check because again, I drink mostly Scotch, don't judge. But me and my wife are getting a gift for a buddy who's celebrating something pretty big in his life. He's one of those. He's in a whiskey and bourbon club with some buddies of mine, but he tells me, "Yeah, I don't even know what I'm drinking. I just chug it back no matter what it is." We want to get him a good bottle, but we don't want to get him anything too good, like I don't know, 150, $200 bottle that he's not going to appreciate. What would you say? Maybe 80, 75, $100 range that maybe something that we're not breaking the bank, but he can still enjoy and appreciate a little bit, or at least get him more
Yes.
into it, so to speak.
Yeah. So my big one there would be any kind of a. Where do you live?
Uh,
Just let me.
we're in Atlanta, but actually heading down to Tampa.
Okay. So my big suggestion on that anytime um is going to be like a store pick of anything. So if you go down to, I mean, if you're here in Tampa, if you're in Tallahassee, I mean, I would assume Atlanta has pretty decent store picks. If Jason, if you're in here, give me a thumbs up and tell me that. But um, any kind of store pick is going to be like a little bit better than what you just find on the shelf. If you find a store pick of Russell's Reserve. Like instead of paying $50, you're going to pay 60, 65, right? So you're going to be kind of in that range. So
Mhm.
I would say a store pick would be really good because then you're not buying him something that's like super allocated that he's just going to waste and you're not wasting your money. But it is a little bit more special than just buying something on the shelf that you could get at any point. I mean, nicer bottles, in that price range. If he's just throwing it back and getting drunk, I mean, the 1920s really high proof, and
Yeah.
that's $60. So that's a good one. Brendan, what do you think?
Yeah, I was gonna say a store pick. I was gonna go one step further, TJ, and I assume Matt that you'll be able to find this in Atlanta, definitely in Tampa for sure. Lukens, Gaspar's will all probably have different offerings of this. Maker's Mark Stave profile store pick, so it'll be a store pick of Maker's Mark, but you'll
Okay.
see 5 different numbers across the front of it, and that's how you know it's a stave profile. And basically, like they have 10 different oak staves that they'll throw in there, and they'll be all different combinations, and they'll try to create like a unique flavor profile. Those are gonna be about Matt like $70 to $80. Gonna be
Okay.
proof pretty high, 110. So it's in your price range, and almost every single one of them that we've ever had have been awesome, delicious, and because it's a store pick, like TJ said, it's gonna be kind of unique to that specific, that specific flavor profile. So I think that's a really good, safe choice. If it's too much proof for him, like you could put some water in it too, but like it should be really accessible if he's someone who likes whiskey.
Okay, yeah, 'cause we were gonna try to spend a little bit more, but then I was thinking, I know he just told me he chugs it back, so we don't want him to just chug back a good bottle of whiskey or bourbon. And I wanted to check. I've had Boondocks before, and I really liked it. Is there a good? Have you guys had Boondocks, and do you maybe anything within Boondocks that you would recommend? And I'll log off after this one so someone else can have a chance. But I appreciate the help.
TJ, I'm not familiar with Boondocks. I'm afraid I'm going to get.
No, it's a real whiskey. Last
I'm
week,
afraid.
Matt, if you weren't here last week, somebody asked him that, and then kind of got him on a D's joke. So Brendan's very scared to like answer
Great gun
anything right
shot. I'm
now.
making another. I'm making
But
another a SoCon
I
joke.
looked it up. I looked it up real quick. Boondocks Craft Whiskey. It looks like they've got some port finished bourbon. They've got a
Ooh,
spiced project that's 11 years. I've not had anything from there, but they've got some different looking stuff. I'm
sounds
definitely
like they're
something that
doing
I'm
cool
kind of
stuff.
interested in now. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had the whatever the yellow label is. Even though again I'm a Scotcher, the Boondocks was pretty good. And yeah, I just wanted to get y'all's opinion on it. But no, I really do appreciate the help. And again, you said the Maker's Mark stave.
Yep, stave profile. And it'll be stave. It should be store pick though, and that'll be like pretty clear on the label. If you
Cool.
have a hard time, just shoot me a DM. My DMs are open, like while you're shopping, and I should hopefully be able to clarify, or we can send you a picture of what it looks like or something.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate it. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it, man. And go Knowles.
Go
And
Knowles.
go.
Thanks,
All
Matt.
Appreciate it, Bo.
right, y'all have a good one.
You too. Don't chase off. We got some Canes and Gators in here, man. Don't chase them off with the heavy Knowles talk, though. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks, Matt, for hanging out for a second. Eddie, we got you this time.
So cool. All right, dude. I'm sorry. Like I had some technological difficulty. Like so happy to be part of the discussion. I appreciate what you guys are doing. And currently, I poured a Bullet rye. Big fan of the rye. My mom,
Nicely done.
yeah. My mom likes to drink Manhattans. She says rye is the thing to do. So, like, hey, it's my mom. Gotta trust her.
Dude, that's what I got my dad for Christmas 2 years ago. Or part of it was he loves doing Manhattans. I got him Bullet Rye to mix with his Manhattans. He was doing like 40. He was doing like some Canadian club with it. And I was like, we can do a little bit better than that. So your mom has good taste.
Love it so much. So sorry about before, but question was sort of like, hey, scenario, you drank way too much last night. When you woke up today, how much was left in that bottle? Like what percentage was of that bottle? Like it was so delicious and you kept enjoying it and you were watching things you loved like Florida State basketball or Florida State football or whatever else, insert your thing. How low is that bottle? And what percentage alcohol was it that you were working with?
So, like, my answer is gonna suck. Go ahead, Brendan. I'll give my answer, but
I'm like tiny. I'm like 5'8", 160 pounds. So like it doesn't take a ton for me. It's really cost effective to be my size and like whiskey. I think maybe the most I've ever done. You know what? On New Year's this past year, I want to kill the Taconic maple syrup bourbon, and that's a higher proof one. What is that, like 110? And it's really sweet and delicious. And I made like the commitment on New Year's, like we're going for it, right? So I want to say I did like maybe a fifth of the bottle that night. Like it wasn't a ton. I don't think I was like blackout or super hungover the next day because I kind of drank it periodically throughout the day. But I did some damage to kill that bottle off, and I'm pretty proud of it. Really set 2022 off on the right foot. What about you, Ben?
boy. Yeah, Ben.
Way to go, Brendan. Way to
Thank
go.
you. Thank you.
Oh man, I'm so yeah.
I could have lied and been like a fourth or whatever. Screw you guys.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm such a sucker for like really good bottles. Like if I'm drinking something like, oh man, this is freaking amazing, I'm like, I gotta save this. So I probably am not drinking like a ton out of the same bottle and mostly I'm drinking 115 to like 135 proof is like kind of like where most of my product is at. If I can be I haven't found too much in the 120s that are like amazing, but like 110 to 115 is usually a great pour, and then like 130 plus is also like, oh yeah, this is awesome.
Whew.
So I mean, I'm not drinking. I'll tell you what, I'm not drinking a fifth of bottle at 130 proof. It's more of like, hey, I gotta make sure I have this because I want this again. So, but yeah, most of my stuff I'm drinking is probably in the 115 and up proof wise.
Yeah, I bounce. So this is why my answer sucks. I bounce around too much. Very rarely do I just stick with the same bourbon all night. I try to stay somewhat within the same profiles. Like if I'm drinking something that's high proof, I'll stay with other high proof stuff. If I'm drinking something that's finished in a wine barrel or a vermouth barrel or something like that, then I stick with stuff that's finished in a barrel. But I typically don't go back for like a third pour of something. Like I'll go for like one or two, and then like even tonight, like I started with the Elijah Craig, and now I'm off on a Four Roses pick. So my answer kind of sucks on that. But just to kind of give like I went to a concert Brad Paisley concert a few months ago, and I put down a half a bottle of Jefferson with a buddy. So I mean,
I'll tell you what,
half a bottle.
there's more dangerous. There's more danger in like 90 proof than there is in
Oh, for sure.
130
Just keep
proof.
drinking.
You know,
Yeah,
90 proof is freaking water.
Right. The 130 stuff like really hits you. But like, yeah, 90 proof. I mean, I was out at the tailgate for that. It was a country concert, right? So you're just like throwing back drinks. And then I looked down and he's like, yeah, you want the last pull from the bottle? And I was like, ooh, I'm going to be hurting tomorrow. So, anyway, what about you?
Chris? We can get Chris Neon here and chat with
Oh boy,
a country. I forget who it was, but it was a country concert, and I don't think he ever made it into said concert.
Yeah, I believe that for sure. Eddie, what are you drinking? Tonight, just in general, like what's your go to and what's your answer? Like, how much are you putting away on a wild night like that?
Oh, geez. Well, I didn't want to be put on the spot, but
you put us on the spot. So
you have that bullet rye. Well, you're running the channel. You get on the spot. But yeah, the bullet rye, the 45 to 50% or proof with the 95 to 100%. Yeah, I'm enjoying 3 or 4 of those for sure. Like before I got to go to bed, like I'm an old man. But also like now Noel's about to tip off. I mean GT, we gotta get him. I got Caleb Mills. I got over. I got under on some points on some of the GT guys. Like I want to watch that, so I gotta temper my expectations, and I'm looking forward to this game tonight.
Well, let's get a dub. Let's keep that streak going in the ACC. But yeah, I'm with you there, Matt. The drinks don't go down. Well, they still go down as easy, but I don't recover as easy as I used to. So I'm definitely with you there, Jason. And then I'll get actually I got back to back Jasons here. So Jason Treco, how's it going?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good, man. What you drinking tonight?
I actually have an Old Elk store pick from Gibby's in South Carolina.
Nice.
And I was gonna say, when you were talking about with the beginner guys, I've had 3 or 4 of these Old Elk store picks, and we're getting ready to do one up here in Charlotte with one of our groups. We're waiting on the samples to come in, but man, I haven't had a bad weeded Old Elk store pick, and I'm seeing them places, and for like $50-$60. If you're new in the bourbon, I mean, it's so sweet. It's so good. It's not like going to kill you like a Booker's or something like that, where you really got to hit it with the high proof. So I would definitely recommend if you walk into a store, and I haven't really gone beyond the weeded because I'm a weeded fan. So I'm not going to speak for any, if you buy an Old Elk, whatever, and you don't like it, don't blame me. But I'm gonna tell you, if you find an Old Elk weeded store pick, I was in 2 stores in South Carolina today, and I didn't buy them because I've got like 5 of them already. But they're if you can find an Old Elk weeded store pick, grab it. It's cheap, it's good, and it'll really give you a nice taste of, you can drink it neat or with ice.
Yeah, there's definitely some of those in the Tampa Bay area. Brendan's holding one up. Brendan and I are on video. I'm going to throw this up on YouTube later. But, Brendan's holding up an Old Elk Weeded that I think we got him for his birthday this year. I know Joe Decadence is in here with his fake profile. He's a big fan of the Old Elk Weeded, for sure. So, Brendan, you like that, don't you? You're a big fan there.
I mean, I can't say I didn't like it. You guys got it for me for my birthday. So, but no, I really do like it. It's really good and sweet. Like Jason said, the weediness of it comes out really nicely. It's got like this cool maple syrup vibe, which is kind of standard with wheat. So I love it. Jason, so we're going to be doing, I think in February, we're going to be doing a weeded month on Bourbon on a Budget. So we're going to try some, like I got a Maker's Mark FAEO2 recently. We're going to review that. We're going to do some head-to-heads with some Maker Mark products and some other weeders. So maybe right up, or I guess down your alley? Up your alley? No, not up your alley. Oh, kids show. Down your alley. No, I don't know.
You're weird. The other thing, TJ, I want to share is I'm like you, man. I have one or two. Like I've had this. I'm on my second weeded Old Elk. I started with I can't remember, but I'm going to go to another one. I have one or two of something, and then I'm like, I got to have something different because I don't stick on one. I'm not one of those going to kill. As I think it was Eddie was asking, like how many of one you going to drink. I don't do that. I have a couple, and then I move to something else. I just think you get more, variety or more profile, and I think that's what makes the bourbon drinking fun. I don't just kill one bottle. I'm like you.
Very rarely do I. I'm the same way. Very rarely do I stick to the same drink all night. I'm not gonna say it never happens, but it's pretty rare. If I'm drinking, I like to bounce around, and I like it's just the journey, more than the juice, right? It's trying new things.
A good night, you'll hit 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, it's trying new things up against each other, right? Like
right.
I love this, or man, I thought this was better, and now I tried it next to this. I don't like it as much, or maybe this is just hitting me wrong tonight, or whatever. So, cool. Well, Jason, I appreciate
ready to enjoy this game, fellas. I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, buddy.
Down your alley, by the way. I looked it up.
You're ridiculous. I got 2 more, and then we'll get. I mean, if people request, people can kind of stay on here. I know the game's about to start, so we'll jump on that in just a minute. But I've got Jason, and then Seminole CPA. We'll get you. And then
Jason.
Hey, what's up, guys? I was just going to respond to Matt. So if he's in the Atlanta area for store picks, check out Sprayberry Bottle Shop. Breege is really popular for a lot of the store picks he has. Usually you can get a lot of stuff, $100 and under. McFarland Spirits is another one, and Jack's. So not really sure what part of Atlanta you're in, but if you want some more information, just drop me a DM, and I can help point you to a few store picks in that area. But if your buddy's just slamming it back, grab him just a Four Roses single barrel, about $45, $39 if you're at Total Wine, and it's probably going to be a better investment. He won't know any different, and will have a nice looking bottle, and it's a great pour.
He'll enjoy it.
Look at that. The bottle does look better. Yeah. That's a good point.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how impressed were you that I guessed on my second guess, even on the second one, that I guessed that it was the American Prairie peated finish?
I was really impressed. When you held the bottle up, I thought you got it. I mean that was kind of one of the reasons I picked that blind, was to kind of test your palate to see if you could pick that out. So you definitely passed the test on that one.
Thank you. It did help that I was drinking that specific bottle, somehow stumbled into it, and then was drinking it like 2 or 3 days before. That did help a little bit.
Yeah, and for TJ and Ben, Brendan definitely didn't know what we sent. Technically, if anybody could have sniffed it out, it might have been TJ setting up the DM with Forrest first.
Yeah, it was really shady. I agree.
All right. By the way,
Jennifer liked that.
The Canes just beat Virginia Tech 78-75 on a half court shot as a buzzer.
Oh, you know what? Good. What's it? RPI? What is it called? TJ?
RIP.
No.
I thought you were. 2 teams that were better than. So love to hear that.
Yep.
All
right, guys.
I'm gonna. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate you, man.
No problem, man. We're gonna pour some Penelope Light whiskey and watch the Noles win.
Woo!
Man after Ben's heart.
Oh, I got a sample of that in today.
That's right, baby.
Shout out Decadence Joe. Appreciate you, Jason. All right, let me get to this last caller, and then we may wrap this up. Hey, if you missed any part of this, I will upload it to our YouTube. I'll just title it, whatever today's date is, and the 26th, and Bourbon Spaces. So go search Bourbon on a Budget on YouTube. I'll post the link here too. So do us a favor and shoot us a follow if you've gotten any any enjoyment out of this space at all. As I said that, Dane left, so I guess Dane doesn't like us. But if you liked this at all, shoot us a follow here on Twitter, and you'll see where we post the last one. Seminole CPA. I like the DBU logo. How's it going, bud?
Good. So I'm not the greatest speaker in the world, so forgive me. So what I want to ask you guys is, I know you guys try a bunch of different stuff on the show, different pours, all, back to back to back. What is it that you guys do to kind of keep your palate from kind of getting blown out from, switching from a bourbon to a rye to a high proof, maybe back to a lower proof? I find when I drink more than say 1 or 2 different types of bourbon or 2 different bottles of bourbon, not full bottles, but pours of bourbon, different types, that my palate gets so blown out that by the time I get to a third pour of something, it just all kind of tastes the same. Or, I may get overpowered by cinnamon or some other kind of spice that may just come through on the bourbon. So what is it that you guys kind of do to kind of help clean that up?
Man, that's good. That's a good question. I would say, and pretty much everyone has different techniques for kind of refreshing their palate. Fred Minnick, who's arguably one of the better palates in the bourbon realm, he's a big fan of club soda, and so he'll kind of go to that between tastings. I also like saltine crackers, also a great option. Pretzels, great. Anything to kind of pull. In my head, bourbon can be a little oily at sometimes, and so that can kind of coat your mouth. And so anything to kind of pull the oil, kind of to refresh the palate would be the best approach there. Like I said, saltine crackers, maybe a little bit of club soda, water. This is kind of the approach that I generally take, but every palate is different. So kind of try a couple options with you and see what works best.
I like that. I also a good light beer, I'm not even being funny, but a good light cheap beer is also a good way to not kill yourself with whiskey by just going, drink for drink. But just a good light beer can kind of do the same thing. Yeah, if you have a couple whiskeys, sober up with a good light beer, come back to a couple more whiskeys. But I kind of spoke about this earlier too. I try to stay in the same, if I'm trying different things, I do try to stay in the same realm. If I'm doing a barrel proof of one thing, I'll go to, but I usually don't get more than 3 things. We've had shows where we did a Final Four episode, right, around the time of March Madness. And when you're trying, so we, a little behind the scenes magic here. We usually record the review so that our palate is fresh, and then we record the main show. So when we do a review, and then we're trying 4 different things on the show because we're doing a Final Four, and we try them all once for the Final Four, and then we got to try the last 2 again for the championship. You're right. Our palates are just crushed because we're drinking way too much in 45 minutes worth of time, and we don't have any time to do that. On a normal night where I'm not doing on the show or anything like that, I typically don't drink more than 2 or 3 things. I do like to bounce around and try new things, but I'm not putting back more than, 3, 4, 5 pours, maybe 6, 6, I'm hurting the next day. So I try to keep it to 2 or 3 different pours. Oh, we've all had those nights. Don't geez me. So I just try to
how about here's another pointer. Just refuse to go down in proof. The second you go from 115 proof down to a 95 proof, it's water. So if you're going to be transitioning, always go up. Always go up.
And go up in price too. There's these older dudes hang out at the liquor store by me, and it's a lounge too next to it. They'll have cigars, and they'll start off with a really nice bourbon, and they go into a quote-unquote for effect one after the first one. So they just want to let the good time keep happening. And they go from a really nice bourbon to a Evan Williams 1783, which for the price, it's fine. But you go from a bottle that would be, $60, $70 to a $20 bottle. And I guess maybe if you're doing cigars, it kind of nukes everything as well. But I find that difficult when you go from a really nice one to one that's maybe not quite as nice with its proof point or just overall quality. Yeah, I'm with Ben there. You go up in proof and go up in quality if you're going to be going back to back to back. One thing for your palate, it's going to sound really weird. Smell your arm. Smell your forearm. Nothing's going to get you reacquainted. More your upper arm, your bicep, TJ, I guess.
Smell your armpit.
No, not your armpit.
What a weirdo, Brendan.
That's too far. No, because it's your own smell. It's what you're most used to. It's not something I didn't just start doing it one day. I was like, oh, my palate gets fine. This is a thing. This is a real tip that I'm telling you.
No, he started doing it one day.
It's a real tip from you. I mean,
crackers are good too, like Ben said.
Yeah, Ben said crackers. Don't smell your arm in public. That was
smell your arm.
I don't know you're in public.
You're sending David off. Like, smell my arm.
What is he doing over there? Similar. What are you drinking tonight? Hopefully, some of that made sense. I have no clue.
No, it makes sense. I'm drinking.
He's drinking his arm.
The arm thing makes the
Virginia
makes the
special.
most
I'm drinking John J. Bowman.
Oh, nice.
Ooh. Port finished?
No, the single barrel, the good stuff, not the port finish stuff.
Oh. Yeah, Elliot was in here. He's a huge fan of everything they do. He's gone now.
It's a great. If you guys ever get a chance to go, it's a great little distillery. That's down in Fredericksburg. So, hey, one more quick thing, just as maybe a show idea for you guys in the future. Because you guys talk a lot about store picks, and I'm unfortunately in Virginia, so we get nothing for store picks for the most part. But maybe if you get Jimmy on the show again or something else, kind of talk about what goes into a store pick, like how many different barrels they pick from, kind of how the price point kind of works for how they price at the store versus a regular pick, that kind of stuff. Kind of get people to understand like why a store pick is so much better than a regular single barrel they may pick up at a store, other than, hey, somebody kind of goes in and sits down and they're presented with 4 barrels and they just kind of taste it and so on and so forth. Just kind of what goes into it, what goes into the process of actually picking it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're doing something with Davidoff again here in Tampa fairly soon, within the next couple of weeks. We're actually doing something on site there. Shout out to the people in the spaces. They get to hear about that first. But that's definitely something we should ask not only, Jimmy there at Gaspar's, but Tommy at Davidoff. Hey, are you coming down for any games this year? If you come down for some games, I'll wrangle up like 5 or 6 store picks for you and meet you in Tallahassee and get them to you so you can take them back with you.
I will attempt to. I used to live in California, so like at least I'm closer now to be able to come to a game. So maybe this year I will actually get to a game, but I did not have very good luck coming from California to Tallahassee for football games.
Yeah, no doubt. We are trying. Monday night, the schedule comes out, and we are trying to, as long as it doesn't fall on like a wild weekend, we're trying to get up to Louisville for that one for obvious reasons. So we are I'm just praying that doesn't fall on Halloween weekend. As long as that's not Halloween, and even if it is, like I probably have a great chance at getting there. But Louisville might be a little easier for you in Virginia too. So just let me know, and I'm planning on really killing the everything there. So good stuff, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate your questions and input. Like I said, hopefully it made a little bit of sense for you tonight. Hopefully we get this win too. Who knows?
Especially the armpit thing is something.
Oh my gosh, I feel so bad that.
Why? That's
so bad
a real technique.
Advice. Logan, shout out Logan. Logan's a big fan of the FSU spaces that we do daily. I can take about roughly as 20% as much Sonone as I can Newberg. Logan, what's going on?
Oh man, just doing some homework. Thought I'd hop in and check out what this is all about. Hearing you guys advertise it, so glad to be here.
Yes, sir. You drinking tonight while you do your homework?
Yeah, I like a little 2 ounce.
My man.
When you're doing differential equations and fluid dynamics, you got to have something to keep the nerves calm. So I'm doing a Monks Road 6-year out of Maine, Kentucky.
Wow.
It's
Brendan, have you ever heard of that?
No, he's going deep with it. I like it.
Oh man. Well, see, I was curious as to what y'all allocate down there, But you should definitely get a hold of that light amber color. Kind of finishes with a dry. You get the vanilla, the amber, kind of almost a little like caramel on the front end. It's awesome. It's 100 proof. Nothing crazy. If you want something real hot, I've heard some high proofs like Jay Mattingly Hazard Lights. That's like over 140. It'll light you up.
My man.
So
Logan, it was Monks Road 6 years. Is that what it was?
Yes, sir. Monks Road, Monks.
Okay. All right, putting it on the radar. Okay, cool.
Yeah, listen. no, I mean, being from Kentucky, I was like, do I really need to listen to a bourbon podcast? But it's been very enjoyable, and it's good to hear about other bourbon drinkers and what they like. So count me as a fan. I'll share the space. I'll be here regularly. Y'all keep up the good work. I don't know about the sniffing the arm thing, though. I'm going to have to
try it.
Bro,
try
don't
it.
do that.
Come
don't
back to me. No, try it. Let me know. Don't do it in public. Just between your homework right now, between equations, like pour something new and let me know if it helps a little bit.
Yeah. Now, I got a question. Are y'all familiar with doing a little chew when you drink your bourbon? Kind of chewing on it?
The only chew I do is a Kentucky chew, which is a tasting method where you're just gnawing on the actual bourbon. I don't do chew because I get lightheaded pretty easily.
Well, that's what I was referring to. That was kind of
that's what he was talking
about. I thought maybe he was doing real chew.
Dingus.
God, I'm really just
no.
Sniff your arm and chew tobacco.
Yeah, that's a tasting style. You kind of like legitimately chew it to get your mouth acclimated with the alcohol and whatnot.
He knows. Yeah. He asked you about it.
Y'all are in my book now. Y'all are good. Green light on the bourbon spaces. I'm here for it. So I'm gonna get back to work. Y'all have a good night, gentlemen.
Thanks, Logan. Hopefully we see you up there for that game, for that Louisville game this year.
Oh yeah,
I'm doing it right now.
Y'all need to stop in Bowling Green if y'all are driving up. There's a great restaurant here. We're just about an hour and a half south. Huge bourbon selection, tons of great steaks, sides for the table. You can really have a great meal. So,
sounds amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm all in for the great steaks.
What restaurant? Because I stopped at Bowling Green on my way back from Louisville 2 years ago and got a bottle of Sam Houston 14 when it was like all the rage and like no one had it by me in Georgia, and they had at a reasonable price the Kentucky pick one, and it was pretty good.
Hickory and Oak, downtown Bowling Green on State Street.
All right, Hickory and Oak.
Listen, we've already talked. Ben and I talked about this. Like, I think we do want to drive so that we can bring more whiskey back because you can only fly with a certain amount. So, it sounds like we're having dinner with Logan on the way into town, boys.
Sounds great.
All right, I'm down. We'll all sniff our arms together and see what happens.
Get out of here. All right, Logan. Appreciate you, bro.
Y'all take care.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, dude.
All right. Eddie requested. Eddie was in here earlier. I just want to see if he has like a follow-up or a thought or a question just before we get out of here. Eddie, you're taking us home, my man. What's going on?
Oh, geez. I'm not taking you home. I just want to say thanks. Like, you guys, this is a great community. Love being a part of it. Go Knowles. And, even part of the community, like Tom's that's logged in here, like one of my friends growing up. Love that guy, doing good stuff. So go Knowles basketball, go Knowles football. Love bourbon, and just want to tell you how much I appreciate what you guys are doing here, and I'd love to stay connected.
Thanks, Eddie.
Awesome.
And that's Tommy from Tomahawk. Tommy Hawk. Shout out.
God, you're so weird. Shout out Tom and shout out Brendan for making every conversation on this show awkward.
Tommy works for Tomahawk, so I call him Tommy Hawk.
But you just make it so weird every time. Hey, we are going to keep doing these. We've gotten good reviews. We've gotten good interaction. We had more people speak tonight. We went 20 minutes longer than we thought we would. Florida State already has a lead in the game. Looks like 14-13, so it's actually pretty close. But
still a lead.
Going to keep doing these. We appreciate you guys for tuning in and hanging out. If you missed any of this, we talked at the beginning about getting into bourbon, like a beginner's journey into bourbon. I'm going to post that on our YouTube. So shoot us a follow on here, and you'll kind of stay updated with everything that we do. If you have questions about bourbon, please feel free to reach out to us anytime. If you have show suggestions, that was a great show suggestion by Seminole CPA. We started doing this so that we could just kind of hang out and drink bourbon together. And we've talked about a lot of the things that we want to talk about. And we've got more ideas, but we'd love to kind of talk about what other people want us to bring up and talk about. So people asked for kind of a beginner episode. And so we tried to touch on a little bit of that in the beginning of this episode. I don't know what we'll do next week, but we'll find a time to get back on here for about half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. This went for just about 50. So however long people want to stay engaged and want to keep chatting with us, we're certainly open to it and happy to do it. Brendan, Ben, you guys have any parting thoughts before we get out of here?
Nope. Smell your arm if you want to, but
sniffing my arm right now.
You don't have to.
Please don't smell your arm. Brendan's a weirdo. Hope to see you guys soon. Take care. Cheers.